What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I want to talk about this pilot program that's going down in the state of Georgia. And many of you black men have sent me emails about this, and I wanted to really talk about it. And that is the fact that there are certain black women that will qualify for guaranteed monthly income to improve their mental health and address the racial wealth gap. And the program is called the In Her Hands program. And what we're going to see is it was going to grant 650 black women that are below the federal poverty line $850 monthly cash with no conditions attached for 2 years. This program will guarantee over $13 million in funding by early 2022. And the reason why it says because black women are among the most likely groups to experience cash shortfalls that make covering basic needs difficult. Okay, and that it's not the result of poor choices. It's the result of pervasive economic insecurity, impacts women of color, and things like that. Also, they're going to study the financial and mental status of black women during this time. And, and this program, for many liberals, they feel that it is timely. And you know what? I know some people are asking about, well, what about black men? And I'm not going to deal with that because I think that's a joke for black men to even say, well, what are you going to get? Because $850 is nothing. And if you're an African-American man and you're thinking like that, I believe that you're a loser. Okay? Because we're men. We don't even talk like that. All right? We're going to go out here and we're going to create our own situations, and we're going to work for what we get. And I want to talk about this because $850 is not going to address the racial wealth gap. It's not going to address their mental health in my situation, because whatever mental health they've had before receiving this money, it is quite likely that they're going to have it. All right. That's just my honest opinion. And furthermore, we want to talk about, well, if their own decisions have not contributed to them being poor, then why have these decisions not have contributed to them getting out of this situation? Because there's many black women that were in poverty that are doing very well. You can even look at those case studies in cities like Atlanta, all right, in cities close to Atlanta, Mobile, New Orleans, right? When we talk about the situation, we're still leaving out the most fundamental problem, which is, number one, what are the skills that these women are being trained to develop so that they can support themselves? All right. I understand that mental health is something that's important, and I understand that they're women in the wealth gap. But what are the skill sets that will push these black women into the working class or the middle class or upper middle class that they can benefit from? That's not being addressed. You're just giving them monthly cash with no conditions for 2 years. Furthermore, are we talking about investments? Are we talking about, how to save money, how to manage money? You're not even mentioning that. You're just throwing money at the problem, and you're not looking at each individual, where they come from, where their skill level is, what do they need to do to maintain and kind of build the bridge from the working class to the middle class to whatever. We're not addressing those things. And we're not addressing maybe if it is a problem with a woman's work ethic, what is the community around her, what resources are going to be added to these women. These are the things that are being left out in this conversation. They're just throwing this money at black women over 2 years. And then what are you probably going to see at the end of that? You're going to see those women still falling back into poverty. And most importantly, what brings women wealth? What brings women wealth is being married. Now, I'm not indicating here that women cannot create their own opportunities. We've just talked about that, as I aforementioned, that there are many women who come from inner poverty in the black community, in the inner city. They come from poverty. They have built themselves out or worked themselves out of poverty into the working class, to the middle class, and acquire skills. And now they're not there anymore. So we know that black women are capable of doing this. But we also fundamentally, if we want to increase the wealth gap, then why are you not talking to these women about the men that they're dealing with? Because some of these women are most likely going to be single mothers. And what we are telling them is that, well, you know what? The reason why you're poor, it has nothing to do with your poor choices. Okay, fine. If we're going to use the victim mentality with that, fine. Then when you talk to people who are rich, do we tell them, you're rich, but it has nothing to do with the result of your good choices? I'm going to say it again. You're rich, but it has nothing to do with the result of the good choices that you make or did not make. We all understand that to be wealthy, to be rich, it is a personal choice that you take, that you work towards. There are things that you must do. There are sacrifices that you must make in order to be a 1%er, to be a 10%er. But we're telling people that, you know what, you're in poverty, and you know what, it has nothing to do with your poor choices. It's the result of pervasive economic insecurity against women. And then there are women every day who prove that that's just not the case. There are black women who prove every day that that's not the case because of their own autonomy, their own agency, their own self-agency. There are many black women out in America, women of many of colors, that have come from the projects of Detroit, in Baltimore. Lonnie Love is one of them. She grew up in the projects and went to Prairie View A&M and got an electrical engineering degree. And look at where she's at now. So there's also that making good decisions part that is left out. So what you're telling me is, let's go ahead and excuse, you know, whatever bad mistakes that they made, and let's keep the standards low in the black community, and we're gonna bail you out. And what we're gonna bail you out is $850. No, it is unacceptable. And you're not doing a service to them, you're doing a disservice to them. If you're gonna do this, where are the skills that they're gonna acquire? Because it's like you're not trying to help them. You want them to be dependent on you for this. And there are many women that want to work and that want to do many great things in life. They may need some help with resources or some help with getting into, but just throwing money at them, you're not helping the cause. And it's the same thing with black men. But the black community doesn't need, like, hey, you know, you need to just give us this money and help us out of our situation with this extra cash, because we know why it might happen. That $850 will be spent on weaves. It could be spent on sandals. It could be spent on any other stuff and not appreciated because, again, they've never worked for it. What are you teaching these ladies to do with this money that's going to help them out in 2 years? That's like what? $850 times 12. What you're giving them is about 10 grand a year. So you're getting about $20,000 over 2 years. What is that going to do? It's not life-changing money. It's not life-changing money. So these ladies are still going to be, most likely, many of them in poverty. And every person that's successful and rich or on their way to wealth understands that your decisions matter. Who you hang around matters. Who you get married to matters. Who's in your community matters. And nobody respects handouts. Not men, nor women. And there are just too many women that have made their own way in the black community that just refuse to take handouts like this and not do something. There's a lot of work ethic that has to be developed here. And I want to give a kudos to a lot of African Americans that I know personally that came out of nothing into a lot of great things. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe with the bell. Check out the first comment at the top. And as you know, the buffoonery remains an all-time high. I'm out.